everyone for coming. We are still waiting on one or two colleagues. So someone waiting at the door? Yes, it would be good to let them in. Thank you. I'm going to propose that when we think we're all here, that we stand for a minute silence in memory of the tragic events of the loss of a young life at Seaford Station last night and the effect it has had on the community. We have dealt with it from a council point of view this morning. A press release and media interviews have taken place, but clearly this is a tragic event which is only unfolding now, and our prayers and condolences go to those affected, and we know there are a lot of them. Some of the friends are gathering outside. So this is a tragedy for our local community, and I was going to suggest that you join with me in standing for a minute's silence to show our condolences and our solidarity. Thank you. Please. Do we have any members of the public elected? Thank you. So we take it there are no members of the public? No. Thank you. Thank you to all members of the Council and officers for joining us in today's meeting. Councillors and officers are reminded of their commitment to the Civility and Respect Pledge and to be mindful of this throughout tonight's meeting. Please be aware that the Council is video recording this meeting and it will be uploaded onto the YouTube channel. I'd just like to highlight some key points of the meeting format. Please can I ask everyone to have their phones turned off or set to silent. Fire exits, as we know, are the doors out of the chambers and down the external fire escape or down the main entrance where you entered. In the event of a fire, lifts should not be used. The assembly point is outside the Royal Mail Parcel Office in West Street, and please remain seated unless you are invited to speak or need to take a comfort break. The toilet facilities are in the corridor through which you entered. Right, my colleague and deputy has got one or two points to make.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Our Madam Mayor has asked me to say a couple of words in relation to the standing orders and the conduct of the meeting. As I'm sure everyone will appreciate, the business before us today raises some complex issues, but also some emotive ones. So, in the interests of civility and in the interest of the efficient conduct of business, I would just like to remind our colleague councillors of a few matters, of which I am sure we are all already aware. From the standing orders, it has been decided that councillors shall address the presiding chair. All comments will at all times be addressed through the presiding chair. Whenever, and that's Madam Mayor, whenever Madam Mayor speaks during a debate, all other councillors shall be silent. We have been rather following what de Tocqueville's characterization of France's ancien regime of a rigid rule and a lax practice. But let me remind you that with a few limited enumerated exceptions in the standing orders, unless permitted by the chair of the meeting, a councillor may speak once in debate on a motion. Madam Mayor does have the leeway to allow second or subsequent contributions, and she will exercise that discretion in order to make sure that the issues are fully aired, but this is not a free-for-all. During the debate of a motion, a councillor may interrupt only on a point of order or a personal explanation, and Madam Mayor's ruling on a point of order is final. I am, of course, here to advise her with my characteristic good grace and expertise. Finally, Madam Mayor called her attention to the dignity and respect policy, but this is substantially replicated in the Councillor Officer Protocol agreed in May 2024, which speaks to the relationship between councillors and officers. And it says, at the heart of this protocol is the importance of mutual respect and also of civility. Councillor-officer relationships are to be conducted in a positive and constructive way. This echoes, as some people will no doubt have picked up from their history lessons, the Haldane Report's characterization of the relationship between politicians and civil servants as one of partnership. That's how I hope we can proceed today. In particular, I would like to just express my concern at a previous meeting in which I personally said something complimentary about the way officers were conducting business on a particular matter. It was our concession, bringing some matters in-house. Officers observe some councillors rolling of eyes. I do not regard this as me saying something complimentary towards officers. I do not regard this as being in the fullest sense supportive of the idea of mutual respect and civility between councillors and officers. And I hope that we can, going forward, rededicate ourselves to, bringing the best of what these policies envision to the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, I would just like to welcome two new officers, two senior officers to our team. Peter Cousin, Head of Place, and Darryl Keach, Deputy Town Clerk. We welcome you and hope to have a long and helpful, supportive working relationship with you, so welcome to you both. Thank you for coming. Yeah. Right, Clerk. Apologies for absence.
Thank you, Chair. So we have 3 apologies for absence. Councillor Walraven for personal reasons, Councillor Dunn for personal commitment, and Councillor Adeniji for a meeting clash.
Thank you. Right, item 2, disclosure of interests. To deal with any disclosure by members of any disclosable pecuniary interests and interests other than pecuniary interests as defined under the Seaford Town Council Code of Conduct and the Local Government Act 2001 in relation to matters on the agenda. Are there any declarations of interest? Moving on to number 3, petitions. In accordance with the Town Council petitions policy, this is a standard agenda item to facilitate any public petitions being presented to and noted by full council. Please note that this would not prompt a discussion on the petition at this meeting. Do we have any petitions? As we have no members of the public present, I shall skip item 4 and we shall move to minutes. So we need to note the following minutes as required. First of all, assets and facilities. Do we have the chair? Yes, we have the chair, Councillor Honeyman, the chair of assets and facilities. Are you happy to propose the agenda, the minutes from the 22nd of May? Do we have a seconder, please? And seconder, Councillor Markwell. All those in favour? Okay. Anyone against? Any abstentions? No, that's agreed. Secondly, the extraordinary full council, including Cliff Gardens, which we held on the 5th of August 2025, with those draft minutes. I'm happy to propose that. Are you happy to second?
Point of order on this, please.
Sorry.
Madam Mayor. That's regarding with conversation with the Town Clerk and Vice from the Monitoring Officer. Agenda item 11. I think on the full council, the last one, I should have declared an in-person interest on that particular item. So that cannot be noted and added to these minutes. Thank you very much.
Right, can we just clarify that? The previous meeting, that was the 5th of August, was it?
Yeah, the extraordinary one,
The extraordinary one.
Yeah.
So you wish to have that
Added to these minutes,
I think you mean added to this minutes of this meeting.
Yeah, but I mean, it reflects the.
Yes.
Apart from that, I'm happy with the rest of the meeting. I'll propose as well if you want to.
Okay, are you happy to second that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, after I proposed it. Thank you, sir. So we've agreed with that caveat. Right, okay. So I need a... I need to have a vote, yes. Okay. All those in favour of those minutes? Anyone against? Any abstentions? Thank you, so that's carried. And I think this will be 5.3, although it's actually down as 5.2, is the Planning and Highways minutes of the 7th of August. Do we, Councillor Borman, you're happy to propose? Do we have a seconder, please? Councillor Buchanan? Thank you. All those in favour? Thank you. Anyone against? Any abstentions? So that is carried. So thank you very much. Right, moving to item 6. So this is land registration legal costs. So we are asked to consider the contents of the report and ask questions, to move a vote on recommendation 1 and to move a vote on various combinations of the recommendations. Natalie, can I ask you to speak to this?
Obviously, I hope the paper's self-explanatory, but if anybody does have any questions, I mean, basically, I think I've tried to make clear it's a historical piece of work that should have been done 20 odd years ago, and I think the urgency is becoming greater due to the local government reorganisation, compulsory registration, and also, as we found out with the Cliff Gardens project, we can't do anything with our land if it's not registered to us. So we couldn't offer a licence, a lease, we can't deliver projects from it. And I fully appreciate it's a huge cost that wasn't budgeted for, but I think it's vital that we consider strongly cracking on with it. But if anyone has any questions, please feel free to direct them here.
Any questions, comments? Councillor Honeyman.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, it says it's been notified a little while. So why isn't it notified by both this council or the sister council? Why has it taken so long for all this to become apparent? And why do we pay and not the district council? Can I have an explanation on that, please?
Certainly. I gather, without referring back to people, I gather previous officers were asked to deal with this.
Well, Lewis or here?
Yeah,
right.
Who are no longer with us. But yeah, there's no explanation other than it should have been done. There's not much more I can say to that because obviously it goes back quite a long way. With regard to your other point, it's in our interest to transfer it over so the district council wouldn't be paying for it. They originally, at the time, so in the transfers, 2001, 3 and 5, at the time they prepared the transfers, did the legal work on it and covered all the costs. when that land was transferred over to Seaford, we should have registered it. It is the, if you like, the proprietor's responsibility to register it, and that's normal. So there's no interest for Lewes District Council to pay for this to go forwards.
Can I quick come back? It's follow up to that. So what you're trying to say is, even though the district council at the time, going back 20 years ago, did a lot of legal work, they won't have to repeat that legal work effectively because it's already been done. I don't know if there's a time limited, but they wouldn't have paid it. They wouldn't have paid for the town council of the time's cost to actually get it done.
No, what they will, their legal team will have to get involved because they will have to execute transfers. Right. Certainly for the land that needs to be transferred over on the TR1s, they will need to, their legal team will need to execute the transfers, but it will be up to our solicitors to prepare them, to lodge them with the land registry. And obviously the first registrations, it will be up to us to register in our name, but LDC would have to confirm that they've passed the land over, but the transfer documents we have in-house. Does that satisfy you?
Sort of, yeah.
Okay.
Councillor Bristow.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm really, really pleased to see this coming forward. As we've said, it's been quite a long time coming, but I think it's absolutely vital. I just was after reassurance really that the way that the titles have been categorised in terms of what needs to be done seems eminently logical. But knowing that we've got several projects on the diary, projects upcoming that might rely on some of this stuff, I'm just seeking a bit of reassurance that those are kind of getting prioritised within this as much as possible. And I know that this kind of stuff isn't easy to get into the nuts and bolts of, so that was like my first question. And then my other question relates to some of the covenants, particularly that are on some of our open spaces, lands which is in our name, but I'm just wondering, with the likely local government reorganisation that's on the cards, does negotiating kind of absolute power over our titles come in under this work package, or is that under a subsequent or separate work package? And because I know that some of the open spaces have still got district council covenants on that ultimately we still need that permission to do certain things. I'm just wondering how that fits with it. Thank you.
Yeah, if you want to answer it.
Through the chair, if I can come back on the second part of your question. You'll remember that a few months ago we asked councillors to vote on the assets from Lewes District Council that we first wanted to focus on. When we came up with those 5 assets, at the same time as requesting those assets, we also requested formally that they withdraw their restrictions on the land that they gave us where we have to get consent as part of that first tranche of asset transfers. And we are still waiting to hear, but that formal request has already been made. And the first question, I'm going to refer back to that.
The first question,
which order you're going to do?
well, obviously one of the transfers has already been motioned to deliver the project, which was approved. Personally, as I say, at the order, I think category 1 and 2 need to be done simultaneously. I think it's really important. I think, obviously, the category 4 with the change of address is less important. All the time we own Hurdis House. Officers are in and out of Hurdis House, so if any correspondence from the land registry is delivered there, we would pick it up. Category 3 again, there is some evidence that the urban district obviously then received the town, so it's less, but it's absolutely imperative in order for us to be able to deliver projects on any of that land or licenses, leases, that it is properly registered to the town council.
Thank you. Does anyone have any other points of clarification or queries? Councillor Woolman.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Obviously, there's an estimated cost of expenditure of £22,560 for all these. Is there a chance that this could be any less, or is there a chance that this could be a little bit more? Because obviously, it is a ballpark figure.
There is, I think it's kind of a scales. So there is a possibility that it will be slightly less due to the fact that there are a couple of queries on which category a couple of parcels of land fall in. So, which I'm doing the donkey work in. I'm not going to get solicitors to do that, just to check titles and stuff. I think the guesstimation really relates to category 4 because it's £65 plus VAT. But we don't actually know how many of our titles are registered with Hurdis House. It's only come up because, for example, I was looking at the Seaford Head Estate office copy entries, and it's registered at Hurdis House. I was looking at another set of office copy entries to do with an island, Rhode Island, and that was Hurdis House. So it's kind of come to my attention, but we don't know until the application goes in how many of those there are. So that's really where the falls a little bit.
Can I just come back?
If you just want clarification.
Yeah, it's just so, because we don't know, is that figure going to increase quite a lot if suddenly we find there are lots of pockets of land up at Hurdis House? I'm just thinking, this is a large figure. How much more might it be if we suddenly find? I'd like what is the most we would pay if bad case scenario?
I don't estimate it increasing considerably, but if councillors would prefer to have a little bit of a cap or even a percentage of oversight, that's entirely down to you, because it is really, and I'm sorry to not be very helpful on this, but I really don't have any idea how many. I mean, I've looked at a lot of our office copy entries, and I've probably so far only found 3 that are registered at Hurdis House. So if you say I've looked at 40 sets and only 3 are registered there, maybe it's not going to be too onerous, but I really can't,
If I can add to that,
Yeah,
through the chair,
yeah,
I think
yeah.
Councillor Bourne, the other thing as well is that within category 2, there are 2 different options, and we put the price as the worst case scenario on all of them, and some of them might be the cheaper version. So I think my estimation is that we're not going to go over that price, and that would be the amount that we would be looking as a maximum to spend, and hopefully we'll be able to do it for less than that. But because it's general reserves, we need council approval to spend that money. So we wanted to make sure you're aware of what the likely maximum cost is, and like Natalie, I don't foresee it being more than that.
Maximum cost I like, but
And if there was a significant overspend, how would you cope with that? How would you let us know? Which committee would you inform?
Finance.
No, well,
Would you?
possibly, but it's general reserve, so it's supposed to be it's a full council approval. So it would have to. We can commit to stop at that figure if it gets to that figure, and then bring it back to full council if we need more. I think officers will be happy to do that.
So what I need to ask councillors now is, does anyone have any strong feeling that they want to vote separately on the categories A, B, C and D, or are they happy to vote with them all together? Keep them all together? Okay. Right. Sorry.
sorry, Chair. I'm happy to vote for them all together, but I'd like to put a cap that it gets to £22,560 as the maximum spend. Anything over that has to come back to council.
Would you like to express that as an amendment to a proposal?
As amendment to the
Recommendations.
recommendations.
Yes.
Yep.
So that's number 2.
I just offering to second the amendment.
Right. Okay. Okay. So we're going to vote on the amendment that has been suggested for recommendation 2, just so it's clear in our heads that to agree the additional expenditure to pay for the legal fees, provided it is capped at the 22,500 and brought back to full council if it's exceeded.
Through the chair, can I propose some wording for that so that
Yes,
this
please
wording
do.
has to go in there in a
Please
minute?
do.
So Izzy's prepared a proposed amendment, so it now says that it was resolved to agree to the additional expenditure of up to £22,560 from general reserves to pay for legal fees and other costs needed to undertake, and then the rest of the sentence.
So are you happy to propose that, Councillor Borman? And did we have a seconder for that amendment, Councillor Horan?
I
Okay.
think Councillor Rutland wants
Just
to
one
speak to
small
the
question.
amendment. Do you want to speak to the amendment, Councillor Rutland?
Well, it was to do with this figure including VAT. Obviously, we're VAT registered. Are we able to claim that VAT back? Being VAT registered.
That might be again a case by case. I don't know.
We don't know the answer to that.
Okay. Just a query.
So let's go back to the recommendations that we are, those in favour of the amendment as described. Okay, thank you. Anyone against? Councillor Lord, any abstentions? Thank you, the amendment is passed. So, going back to the recommendations, we're asked to note the contents of the report. Can I have a proposal, please? Councillor Bristow, seconded Councillor Rutland. All those in favour? Thank you. Any against? Any abstentions? So, item 1 is passed. And to agree the additional expenditure as agreed with the previously voted amendment. I can't go through it. Including A, historical asset transfers, B, first registrations, C, statutory declarations, and D, to register the town council's change of address on land already registered. So we will take them all together. Can I have a proposal, please? Councillor Bristow, a seconder, Councillor Sturton. Those in favour? Thank you. Anyone against? Any abstentions? So that, with the appropriate amendment, is passed. Right. Now, moving swiftly on to item 7, which is a whaling agreement request. And we're being asked to consider the paper and vote by motion.
Thank you, Chair.
Clark.
Thank you, Chair. So, as I put in the paper at point 1.3, this isn't technically a disposal of land, but our scheme of delegations doesn't cover this niche scenario. So I thought it was best to bring this to full council to be sure that we have the proper approval. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Right, the floor is open. Does anyone have any questions? Councillor Buchanan.
Thank you, Chair. Just a couple of technical thoughts. It's not entirely clear, but based on the diagram there, it looks as if any cabling to the pole would be underground. It's not overhead. Number two, it's not entirely sure how the tall the pole is. I'm assuming it's going to be kind of the same height as a lamppost or something, maybe 8 to 9 metres.
Through the Chair, I don't have answers to those questions. I was made aware prior to this meeting that there were some further questions in relation to the poll, and I sought answers to those questions from the solicitor for Openreach earlier today, and he's come back to confirm that in terms of if we decided to sell the land, it would bind future purchasers because the whaling attaches to the land. He's also confirmed that the pole would be brown with wires and cables. He's also confirmed that surveyors have surveyed the area and identified that piece of land and that property and that location as the best location for the install. And that's the only answers to the questions I've got. So any further questions I can't answer because everything I know about this proposal is contained within the paper in the appendices.
Can I just come back to this?
Yes, for your second.
Again, it's not entirely clear whether the cables have been underground or above, so maybe that's just worth clarifying just so that I understand. Makes sense.
Councillor Lord.
Yeah, something quickly. Thank you, Madam Mayor. I deal with quite a few of these at work, and we found they were bogging us down. because different officers were getting involved in it. And basically exactly what the town councillor has said, they designated one person of responsibility to agree on these licences, because everyone's different, but they're all the same. It sounds ridiculous, it's like plan application, they're all the same. And we've designated one person of responsibility. It's made life so simple, rather than treating each one as a separate item. So when another one comes in, the town clerk will have authority to agree with the licence or not. And I think it's a positive way forward. I think the town clerk is quite correct in with statements forward. Thank you, Chair.
We're being asked about the delegation of power to you, decision making and obtaining legal advice. Does anyone have any questions or comments about that?
Can I just quickly come back on another point, technical point, if that's all right? It's relevant.
A technical point about the
Oh, yeah.
Could you stand up for
Okay, thank you, Madam. Sorry. Yeah, I wouldn't. Yeah.
Yeah.
Obviously, I think the height, I think they're fairly standard, aren't they? Those, from what I can see, if it's typical to ones, a few I know Lewis, a few I know already in this location, I can picture it. I know it's completely outside the scope of any planning, isn't it? We know that. So we haven't got to go through the planning process in that way. I just wondered how you're going to deal with the PR side. Who deals with the PR side when it suddenly gets put up when you see it from the seafront and all that, which is what will happen when typicals. I just wonder who'll be dealing with that, the communication, because you will be able to see it from quite a long way. I just wonder who'll be doing that. Thank you.
I mean, through the council, I phoned and spoke with the lawyer who proposed this to us to ask a whole bunch of questions similar to that, and his answer was it's not common practice to consult local residents with these requests, and that the poll doesn't require planning permission. That was as far as the information was forthcoming. I haven't got any more to answer than that, I'm afraid.
Councillor Bristow and then Councillor Dubar. And then
Chair, I've just got a point to make, which if you do vote to delegate authority to the town clerk, I hope you could bear in mind and clarify as you go through your sort of fine-tuning process for this. From the diagrams which are included in the Injector report, it's not crystal clear to me exactly where the pole was situated in relation to the path which is there, and there's quite a narrow entrance and exit to that green space as you go towards Helen Road, just having a moment there, and I just would like it considered from a safety perspective, because the police have all these various safety guidelines for placement of things in parks and open spaces, that it is, perhaps it could be bounced off the Sussex police officer just to check that it's not kind of narrowing and making too much of a restricted funnel there, because there are bushes the other side and so on. So hopefully that's all been taken into account by BT, and like I said, I can't 100% see exactly where it is on the diagram with relation to that path, but perhaps you could just bear that in mind and just check that through as the process goes through. I'd really appreciate it.
Yeah, I mean, through the chair, all I can say is everything I know about this is in the paper. I don't know anything more than what it says. So, I mean, my understanding of that picture is it's on the grassy knoll that's there, not on the path itself. That's where I would have imagined that shows that. Yeah, I don't know what else I can say.
Councillor Dubar.
My concern is the location outside of those houses. And I know they say that's the best place for it, but the best place for them, perhaps, maybe not the best place for our residents. And my concern is we approve this today, and I know they could go to court and get approved without us, but then our residents might not thank us for it. Is it possible to look at alternative spots that residents would find less intrusive?
Through the chair, yes, it's possible. However, it may trigger them to decide to move it elsewhere and it not be our problem anymore, or it may trigger them to go to the Lands Tribunal, which would be something which I don't think we want to do. So I don't know. There's specific legislation for these things to help BT Openreach force it upon us if they consider us to be obstructive. And I guess it's up to their discretion whether or not they would use that or whether they would try and find somewhere else. And I've asked and they can't answer that because it's not up to the solicitors who I've spoken to. He's just taking instruction.
These are very technical issues really. We always want a post office engineer here to answer them. But, Councillor Taylor and then Councillor Sturton.
Thank you, Madam Chair. On Bishopstone Road, we just recently had BT Openreach install pole, and they've been extremely cooperative on the site. They not antagonistic. They've worked with the. I mean, I appreciate the concerns, and obviously it could be different in a different position, but I do want to say that they were remarkably cooperative. And I also want to say that it's gone underground. It's going underground. There's a process by which the cables go underground. And the other thing is that it has improved connectivity. That is probably really what matters most for the people around it. So
it is for the benefit, after all, of the residents
of the community.
Allegedly, that's
Yeah.
what it's for. Yes. Councillor Sturton.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. This is a question for Steve through you. Could you just clarify what material concerns are in relation to the motion, the delegation motion, so that we have a sense of when? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, through the chair, how it was explained to me was that they'll pay up to £750 for us to get legal advice, as long as that legal advice is that it's to explain to us what the terms and conditions mean and what it means for us, etc., etc. If we want our solicitor to rewrite or redraft the terms, then they won't cover the cost of that because they consider that to be our own, whatever. My view was that if we get the explanation from lawyers to explain what it means, and there's nothing significant that I think councillors will be worried about, then that's what I mean by material concern. I mean, it's hard to know what it's going to say until I know what it says, but you know, if it comes back and it's along the same lines as the documents that are attached as appendices, then I would say that there's no material change. But if something comes up which our solicitor says that's a problem or that might cause you an issue, then that's what I meant by material differences, if that helps. It's a bit vague, but I don't know what's going to happen until they tell us.
Okay. Councillor Holmes.
It's a question that might be relevant, but I thought I'm going to ask it anyway. Sometimes you hear people are worried about when there's masks near them due to health concerns. So I just thought I'm going to ask this question, because there's nothing in there about if this is the type of thing that can affect people's health. Because I know that has come up before when other people have had masks put out. So, and just because it's going near residential properties, I just thought I'm going to ask this question.
Through the chair, I suspect that BT Openreach would claim that that's false science and it doesn't exist. So I don't suppose that they want to get involved in a conversation about that. I mean, I've heard it about electricity pylons, and I think that's probably more proven than masks like this, but
I just wanted to ask the question.
Councillor Holmes.
Can I come back to that? So I've got just a couple of bits.
On the previous.
Yeah, just a technicality. BT and Openreach, BT and Openreach, two separate companies now. Openreach completely separate for BT. So people have been talking about BT Openreach, and it's not anymore. So can you have that clarified when you're doing your minutes or whatever? So that'd be great. The other one, yeah, the old technology with some of the older, there was a bit more concerned with health and safety, and that's moved on. It's less. All the research we've done over the last 20, 30 years, so it's less of a problem that the health and safety side. Thank you.
If I could just come back on that, the reason we've called it that is although the appendices do talk about Openreach, at the top of page 17 it does say waiver agreement for British Telecommunications PLC. So there is still some link between BT and Openreach insofar as this is concerned.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Chair. Just to explain one thing to Councillor Honeyman might help. There's been a big controversy about a 5G mast in Lewis, which is a mast, which is for 5G. And it was given the planning permission, which was then complained about because they'd actually built the mast about a metre away from where they said they were going to build it. So that was one thing. This is a pole with a mast, so I think it's not quite right from that point of view. But what I was going to say, Madam Chair, is that, and Town Clerk, it doesn't exactly say where this is, and I'm just wondering from local residents' point of view, I wonder if it would be worth your while finding out exactly where they're going to put it. We could have some meterage from some points, reference points, and then it could be marked on the ground, and maybe a sign could go up for residents saying there is going to be a pole put up here by BT, just for your information, for the local community, and this is what's going to happen. Just so people know, because otherwise they suddenly see a pole go up and people go, what's this pole? I just wonder, if, from a communication point of view for the public, I wonder if that might be an idea.
Perhaps we could pass that on in the discussions with legality. Councillor Bristow, did you? No? Okay. Does anyone have any further?
Just a quick follow-up. If I could, Councillor Meek, because actually BT Openreach contacted the residents. They were paid with the notices, and the council arrived with a vehicle to carry stuff around. That's all. We didn't have to. It was all looked after very well locally.
So what you're saying is that there was good communication with the residents when they started work.
Yeah.
I think the question is that it is preparation before they start work, maybe slightly.
A letter.
So a letter was sent.
A letter was sent to the residents.
Okay.
The biggest problem we had was that BT will be called away, and we also call them BT Openreach. They were called away when there was a big storm elsewhere in the country. We were expecting them. They didn't come because they got caught in Scotland or somewhere.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we that's sort of outside our remit, I think, really.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think I'm going to move on the recommendations. If everybody's happy, then they can start to ask every possible question to our Park BT engineer. Right, so first of all, we are being asked to note the contents of the report. Could I have a proposal, please? Councillor Rutland, with the seconder, Councillor Horrow. Those in favour? Anyone against? Councillor Duval? No? Any abstentions? Okay, thank you. Now, we have two options here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a vote on 2A and then see whether the vote is needed for 2B, if that makes sense. So we are going to vote on whether we delegate power to the town clerk to enter into an agreement with BT Openreach, with the caveats about the name, having first obtained legal advice, provided it doesn't raise any material concerns. So can I have a proposer for that, please? Councillor Sturton, seconder, Councillor Borman, thank you. All those in favour of 2A? Thank you. Anyone against? Councillor Duval, any abstentions? So I think by that default, we don't need to vote on 2B. So, are we happy with that? Okay. Right. I am now going to call a short break. Oh, sorry. All right. Okay. We're now going to vote, moving into the final item.
Page 2.
Okay, so we are now going to vote item 8 for exclusion of the press and public. In accordance with the Public Bodies Admission to Meetings Act 1960, press and public will be excluded from the meeting during the discussion on the next item for the reasons set out. Resolutions on the item will be recorded publicly in the minutes of this meeting. The proper officer considers that discussion of the following items is likely to disclose exempt information as defined in the Local Government Act 1972 and the data protection legislation, and may therefore need to take place in private session. The exempt information reasons are given along with the item below. And furthermore, in relation to paragraph 10 of Schedule 12A, it is considered that the public interest in maintaining exemption outweighs the public interest in disclosing that information. So do I have a proposer for item 8, please? Councillor Honeyman, do I have a seconder? Councillor Markwell, those in favour? Thank you. Anyone against? Any abstentions? Right.
I'd like to say for the record, Councillors Rutland, Bristow and the meeting now due to the subject matter of the report.